The sun bounced off the concrete hard enough to make her squint. Naomi worked in the open corner of the hotel garage, sleeves rolled, uniform already damp with sweat. She moved carefully, as every inch of the black sedan mattered. Extra coins meant dinner, meant the week ending gently instead of sharply. A shadow crossed the hood. She didn't look up. Most people didn't see her anyway. He did. Caleb Whitmore stood a few steps back, saying nothing, watching how she treated what wasn't hers, watching the way she tucked loose hair behind her ear and how the gold chain slipped free. The locket caught the light. He didn't speak, didn't interrupt. Some things, once seen, needed time to be believed. The heat settled early that afternoon, the kind that pressed down without apology. Sunlight poured into the open side of the garage, bouncing off chrome and concrete until the air itself seemed to hum. Naomi worked through it anyway. She knelt by the front tire of the black sedan, sponge heavy with soap, moving in careful circles. Not rushed, not careless. The car wasn't hers, but she treated it like it was the only thing in the world that needed doing. Sweat slid down the back of her neck. She ignored it. Coins were coins. She'd learned not to look at the car too long. Looking invited imagining. Imagining invited resentment. She kept her eyes where they belonged, on the paint, on the rim, on the reflection that bent her face into something unfamiliar. A paper bag appeared on the hood. She stiffened, spine straightening before she realized she'd done it. "Sorry," a man said, somewhere behind her. "Didn't mean to startle you." She stood slowly and wiped her hands on the side of her uniform. He hadn't come close. That mattered. The bag sat between them, the logo of a corner bakery stamped in blue, the good one across the street, the one she walked past every morning and never entered. "I didn't order anything," she said. "I did." His voice was even, unhurried. "They messed up, gave me an extra." She waited. People usually followed generosity with an explanation or expectation. When none came, she said, "I'm not supposed to take food from guests." "I'm not staying here," he replied. A pause, "and it'll just sit there getting stale." She looked at the bag again, then at him. He wasn't dressed like most of the men who parked here. No flashy watch, no shouting into a phone, just a white shirt with the sleeves rolled back once as he'd stopped halfway and decided that was enough. Naomi nodded once. 5 minutes. "Take 10, he said, already stepping back. She ate standing, half-turned toward the car, as if food was something she might need to apologize for. The croissant flaked at the edges, buttery and soft. She closed her eyes for half a second too long. When she opened them, he was leaning against a pillar, not watching her eat, watching the way she worked. That made her uneasy. She finished quickly, folded the bag and set it aside. "Thank you." "Sure." She dropped back down and rinsed the sponge. The rhythm returned. Soap, water, wipe. She felt his gaze then, not heavy, not invasive, curious, like he was listening instead of looking. The chain slid loose when she leaned forward. It caught the sun, a small flare of gold against her skin. He stopped breathing. Not sharply, not obviously, just enough that his chest forgot its rhythm. The locket was oval, worn smooth along the hinge. The chain was thinner than he remembered, but there was no mistaking it. His mother hated that thing. Naomi straightened, tucked it back under her shirt without noticing. She reached for the rag, glanced up. "Is something wrong with the car?" she asked. "No," he quickly said, then steadied himself. "No, it looks better than it did." She tilted her head. "That's usually the goal." A corner of his mouth lifted despite himself. "You always did have a way of stating the obvious." She froze. Slowly she looked at him again, not as a guest, not as a stranger, as someone whose face made the air shift. "Do I know you?" she asked. He didn't answer right away.
He let his eyes take her in carefully this time, the shape of her mouth when she was wary, the way she stood like she expected to be corrected. Older, sharper, still unmistakable. "You might," he said, "but it's been a long time." She studied him back, the line of his jaw, the familiarity she didn't trust. Her hand went, unconsciously, to the locket beneath her shirt. "I'm good with faces, names too. That's usually how I know." He smiled then, really smiled, and it surprised both of them. "That tracks. You always remembered things I forgot." Her eyes narrowed. "You're very confident for someone I don't recognize." "Occupational hazard." "Of what?" He glanced at the car, then back at her. "Waiting." She huffed beside herself. "That's not a job. It pays occasionally, in patience." She shook her head and went back to work, but the air between them had changed, lighter, charged. He watched her a moment longer, then pulled out his wallet and slid a folded bill on the hood. Not loud, not announced. She saw it anyway. She straightened, heat rising to her face. "I know," he gently said. "For the car, you did more than you had to." She hesitated, then took it. Her fingers brushed his. Something old shifted. "Thank you," she said, quieter this time. He nodded. "I'll be around." She snorted softly. "That doesn't sound ominous at all." His smile widened. "It's not meant to." He walked away without another word, leaving her with a clean car, a full stomach, and the uneasy feeling that something she thought was finished had only just noticed her again. At the end of the garage, he stopped, glanced back once. She was humming under her breath, the same way she used to when she felt safe. Some people return like questions you never stopped answering.
Enjoying the story so far? Whether you're listening while trying to catch some sleep, getting through your chores, or just taking a quiet moment for yourself, we're glad you're here. Take a minute and tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and stay with us for more stories like this.
Naomi finished the car without rushing, even after the sun climbed higher and the concrete burned through the thin soles of her shoes. She worked the way she always did, methodical, quiet, precise. When the sedan finally gleamed back at her, she stepped away, hands resting briefly on her hips, as if checking herself before moving on. The man was still there. Not close, not hovering, standing near the exit ramp now, phone in hand, posture loose. He hadn't tried to talk to her again. That unsettled her more than if he had. Most men filled silence with ownership. He let it breathe. She wheeled the bucket toward the utility closet. He waited until she reached the doorway before speaking. "You still hum when you're tired." She stopped, didn't turn around. "That's not uncommon," she said evenly. "No, but you always start halfway through the song, like you don't trust yourself with the beginning." Her grip tightened on the handle. She turned slowly this time. "You keep saying always." Her voice was calm, but her eyes weren't. "That's a dangerous word to use with strangers." "I know. That's why I'm not." The words settled between them. She studied his face more carefully now, not searching for memory, but for intent. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't pushing. He looked steady, like someone who had waited a long time and learned how. "You don't get to do this," she said. "You don't get to walk back in and decide I remember you." "I'm not asking you to remember," he replied. "I already do." That earned him a short, disbelieving laugh. "That's convenient." "It's inconvenient," he corrected, "for everyone except me." She shook her head. "You sound very sure." "I am." She leaned the bucket against the wall and crossed her arms. "Then say my name." He didn't hesitate. "Naomi." The way he said it wasn't careful. It wasn't tested. It was familiar in the way people spoke only when they'd never needed permission. Something in her chest shifted, small, sharp. "And you are," she asked. "Elliot." The name landed without recognition, but something else stirred, an echo without sound.
I was taller than you for about 6 months, then you passed me and never let me forget it." She frowned despite herself. "I'm not competitive." "You counted sidewalk cracks," he said. "You absolutely are." Her mouth twitched before she could stop it. She exhaled slowly. "If this is a joke, it's not. Then why now?" He glanced back toward the garage, then at her again. "Because I saw your locket." Her hand moved instinctively to her chest. "You don't get to talk about that." "I know," he said quickly. "I won't, not unless you want me to." She watched him for a long moment. People usually pressed when they found leverage. He'd stepped away from it like fire. "That thing has followed you," he added quietly, "even when you didn't know why." Her jaw tightened. "You don't know anything about my life. I know you were blamed for something you didn't cause." Silence snapped tight between them. She stared at him. "Who told you that?" "No one," he said. "I watched it happen." Her voice came out thinner. "Then why didn't you stop it?" He held her gaze. "I tried." She looked away first. A car passed above them, tires humming. Voices echoed faintly from the hotel lobby. "You believed me," she said finally. "Yes." "Not that I wanted to." "No, I think I did. Yes." Her shoulders dropped a fraction, like she'd been holding something up alone for too long. "My parents didn't," he added. "They thought you carried bad luck." A bitter smile crossed her face. "Everyone needs a reason." They were wrong. She studied him again, measuring the weight of that statement. "And now?" she asked. "Now," he said, "they're still wrong." She laughed softly at that. "You say that like it's simple." "It isn't," he replied. "That's why I stayed quiet." "That doesn't sound like you." He smiled faintly. "You always said that too." She turned toward the hallway. "I need to get back to work." "I know." "You're not staying here." "No." "But you'll be around." "Yes." She paused at the corner, looked back. "Why?" He didn't answer right away. "Because the one person who never lied to me is standing right there, and I don't walk away from that twice." She didn't respond, just nodded once and disappeared down the hall, heart beating faster than she wanted to admit. Elliot stayed where he was, hands in his pockets, watching the space she'd occupied settle back into shadow. Some truths don't fade with time. They wait.
The call came while Elliot was still in the parking lot. He stared at the name on the screen longer than necessary, letting the phone vibrate once, twice, before answering. "Yes," he said. His mother didn't bother with greetings. "You're in Phoenix." "I am." "And you didn't think to tell us." "I didn't think it was necessary." Silence followed, not the kind that waited, the kind that measured. "We heard," she said finally. Elliot closed his eyes. He could already see the shape of this conversation, the way it always bent toward inevitability. "You heard what?" "That you were seen with her." He leaned back against the car, the heat pressing through his shirt. "You'll have to be more specific." "Don't do that," his father cut in, voice calm but edged. "We know who she is." Elliot exhaled slowly. "Then you know enough to stop." His mother's voice softened, and that worried him more than anger ever had. "We thought that part of your life was finished." "It was never finished. It was interrupted." "That girl brings trouble," she said, the words chosen carefully as if they'd been polished over the years. "You know that." "No," Elliot replied. "I know you believe that." Her mother died. Her father disappeared. Everything around her collapsed. Elliot opened his eyes. The garage stretched out in front of him, empty now, too quiet. "Correlation isn't consequence." His father sighed. "You always had a way of defending lost causes." "She isn't a cause," Elliot said. "She's a person." "She's a risk," her mother countered, "and risks attach themselves to men like you." Elliot smiled faintly. "You taught me how to manage risk." "Yes," his father said, "by avoiding unnecessary exposure." Elliot straightened. "I won't avoid her." The line went silent again. "This isn't about affection," her mother said at last. "It's about pattern, about what follows people.
You remember what happened." "I remember what didn't happen," Elliot replied. "No one proved anything. No one protected her." "She survived," his father said. "So did I," Elliot said. "That doesn't mean it was handled well." "Be careful," her mother warned. "You don't know what she carries." Elliot's voice lowered. "I know exactly what she carries, and it isn't what you think." When the call ended, he stayed where he was, phone still warm in his hand, jaw tight. Some battles didn't announce themselves. They simply stepped closer. Naomi noticed the change 2 days later. Not in Elliot. He was still careful, still present, but in the way the world leaned toward him when he walked through it. People straightened, conversations shifted, doors opened without being asked, and doors closed quietly around her. A supervisor she'd never spoken to before lingered too long near her cart. Questions came sideways, polite, curious. "How do you know him? He's important. Be careful." Naomi smiled. She always smiled. At lunch, she ate alone. The coins in her pocket felt heavier than usual. That evening, she caught Elliot watching her from across the lobby. He wasn't smiling now. He looked alert, like someone reading the room instead of enjoying it. "You're quieter," she said, when he joined her by the vending machines. "So are you. That's my default." "Not always," he replied. She shrugged, slid $1 into the slot. The machine rattled, jammed. Figures," she sighed. He pressed a button. The bag dropped. She stared at it. "That's unfair." He handed it to her. "Life's inconsistent." She laughed despite herself, then sobered. "People have been asking questions." "I know." "About me." "I know." She leaned against the wall, crossed her arms. "You're not very good at pretending this doesn't affect me." "I'm not pretending." She studied him. "You're used to being protected." His mouth curved slightly. "I'm used to being insulated." "There's a difference." He nodded. "You're right." They stood in silence for a moment, the hum of machines filling the gap. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked finally. "No." "Then why does it feel like I walked into a room I wasn't invited to?" Elliot looked at her then, really looked at her. The way she kept her shoulders squared, the way she refused to shrink even when the air pressed close. "Because you did," he said, "and the invitation wasn't mine to give." Her eyes narrowed. "That's not comforting." "I know." She straightened. "I don't need you managing my life." "I'm not." "You're standing between me and something," she said quietly. "I can feel it." He hesitated. That was his mistake. Her voice sharpened. "You said you believed me." "I do." "Then don't start deciding things for me." "I'm not deciding," he meant it. "I'm choosing." She took a step back. "Those sound the same from where I'm standing." The distance between them felt suddenly precise, measured. "I won't let them hurt you." Her laugh was soft, but it wasn't warm. "You don't get to let anything. I've been surviving without permission for a long time." He flinched, not outwardly, but enough. "I know," he said. "That's why I'm here." She shook her head. "That's why you're dangerous." He smiled faintly. "To them, maybe." "To me," she corrected, "because you make it harder to pretend I'm invisible." They stood there, two people from the same beginning, now separated by everything that had grown in between. When she finally walked away, Elliot stayed where he was, hands clenched at his sides. Loyalty was easy when it stayed quiet. It was only when it asked to be seen that it began to cost. What does loyalty cost when it finally asks to be seen?
Naomi didn't mean to show him the locket. It happened the way most truths did, by accident, when you were tired of holding your breath. They were sitting on the low concrete wall behind the hotel, the sun already slipping toward evening, heat loosening its grip. The space felt forgotten, shielded from guests and questions. Elliot had chosen it without comment. She noticed. She leaned back to stretch her shoulders, fingers grazing the chain at her neck. It slipped free again, settling against her collarbone like it had been waiting. Elliot's gaze dropped, stilled.
Naomi noticed that, too. "You keep looking at it like it's going to say something," she said lightly. "It already has," he replied. Then, softer, "I just don't know if I'm allowed to listen." She snorted. "It's not very talkative." She lifted it between her fingers, studying it the way she'd done 1,000 times before. The hinge was worn thin, the gold dulled in places no polishing ever fixed. "My grandmother gave it to me," she said, "after my mom died." Elliot stayed quiet. She flipped it open. Inside were the photographs, creased, faded, still unmistakable. A younger version of her mother, smiling at something just outside the frame. A man beside her, eyes steady, mouth unsmiling, as if he never trusted cameras. "My parents," Naomi said. "That's all I know." Elliot's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "No names?" he asked. "No stories," she replied. "Just this." She closed the locket gently. "I used to think if I stared at them long enough, I'd remember something important." "Did you?" She shook her head. "I remember the night. Not clearly, just pieces. People telling me what happened, like repetition, would make it real." "And did it?" She smiled faintly. "Depends who you ask." He watched the locket disappear back beneath her shirt. His hands were folded tightly now, knuckles pale. "That story they told you," he said carefully, "it never sat right." Her eyes flicked to his. "You noticed that too?" "I noticed a lot of things didn't line up. Adults were nervous in a way they couldn't explain. Police who didn't ask questions they should have." Naomi swallowed. "People said my mom collapsed." "Yes, but no one could agree on when." The air shifted between them, subtle but undeniable. "You're not saying," she began. "I'm saying," Elliot interrupted gently, "that simple stories are often chosen because they're easier to live with." She let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "My grandmother hated when I asked questions." "She was protecting you." "From what?" He hesitated. "That," she said quietly, "that's the part that scares me. You hesitate like there's something sharp on the other side of the sentence." Elliot looked away, out toward the empty parking lot. "Some truths don't stay buried once you name them." "That sounds like experience." "It is." She studied his profile, the tension he carried now without armor. "You know more than you're telling me." "Yes." "And you're not going to say it?" "Not yet." Her laugh was short, edged. "You're doing the same thing everyone else did, deciding what I can handle." "I'm deciding when. There's a difference." She crossed her arms. "That's a fine line to walk." "I'm aware." Silence stretched. A car passed somewhere above them. Laughter drifted from the pool area, distant and unrelated. "Why now? Why do any of this now?" Elliot met her gaze. "Because someone started asking about you." Her shoulders stiffened. "Who?" "People who don't ask out of curiosity. People who connect dots for a living." Fear flashed across her face before she smoothed it away. "I've been invisible a long time." "That doesn't mean you're unimportant. It means you were overlooked." She scoffed. "That's a generous reframe." "It's an accurate one." She stood, brushing dust from her palms. "You don't have to get involved." "I already am." "You don't owe me anything." "I know. That's why this isn't debt." She looked at him then, really looked. "Then what is it?" "Responsibility and memory." She shook her head slowly. "Those are dangerous reasons to stay close to someone." "I'm aware." She took a step back, instinctively. He noticed. "I won't push, but I won't disappear either." Her voice softened despite herself. "You don't get to choose both." "I already have." She didn't argue. She just nodded once, the way she did when she needed space to settle something heavy. As she walked away, the locket rested warm against her skin, heavier than it had ever felt. Behind her, Elliot stayed still, watching the place where the past kept circling, refusing to land. A truth hovered between them, close enough to feel, too sharp to touch.
The storm arrived without drama. No warning sirens, no dramatic sky, just a sudden darkening, clouds stacking low and heavy, the air turning thick as if the city had decided to hold its breath. By the time Naomi finished her shift, rain was already sliding down the glass in slow, deliberate lines. She stood under the hotel awning, watching it fall, uniform folded over her arm. The parking lot lights flickered once, twice, then the power went out. The lobby dimmed to emergency lighting, shadows stretching long and uncertain. Guests murmured, someone laughed nervously. Naomi stayed still, rain misting the edge of her hair. "You're not walking home in that." Elliot's voice came from behind her, calm but firm, like he'd already made the decision and was simply informing the world. "I've walked in worse," she said without turning. "I know. That doesn't make this a test you need to pass." She faced him then. Water dotted his shoulders, darkening the fabric of his shirt. He looked irritated, not at her, but at the sky. "I don't need rescuing," she said. "I didn't say you did." "Then don't sound like you're about to argue with the weather on my behalf." That earned a brief smile. "It's losing." Thunder rolled, close enough to rattle the glass. The rain thickened, drumming hard now, relentless. "You can wait it out," he said. Maintenance locked the side exits. Power's down across 3 blocks. She glanced back at the darkened street, then at the rain again. Her shoulders sagged a fraction. 5 minutes, she said. They ended up in a service corridor just off the lobby. Concrete walls, a single bench, emergency lights humming overhead. It wasn't intimate, it wasn't comfortable, it was contained. Water crept in under the door in thin lines. The storm pressed close, loud enough to make conversation feel like an effort. Naomi sat first, elbows on her knees, staring at the floor. "I don't like storms," she said suddenly. Elliot leaned against the opposite wall. "You always hated the noise." She stiffened. "You say things like that so easily." "I say them because they're true." She laughed once, short and brittle. "Truth doesn't always help." Thunder cracked again, sharper this time. The lights flickered but held. She drew in a slow breath. "Do you ever wonder why people leave?" Elliot didn't answer right away. "I mean, really leave. Not move away, not drift. Just decide you're not worth the trouble." She looked up at him then, eyes clear and unguarded in a way that felt dangerous. "Because sometimes," she said quietly, "it feels like I'm the common denominator." The words hung there, heavy as the air before lightning. Elliot pushed off the wall, took one step closer, then stopped himself. "That's not true," he said. She shook her head. "You don't know that." "I do," he replied, "because I've watched people make choices around you, and they weren't about you." "They always say that." "People say a lot of things when they don't want to be accountable. I'm not one of them." She pressed her lips together, jaw tight. "My mom died. My dad left. My grandmother worked herself into the ground trying to keep things together. People whispered. People stepped back. Even you." She stopped. He didn't fill the silence. "You left too." "I didn't choose to," he said. "You still went." "Yes." His voice was steady, and I spent years knowing that wasn't the same thing. The rain hammered harder, like it was listening. She wrapped her arms around herself. "I don't want to be someone people have to defend." Elliot stepped closer again, this time not stopping. He crouched in front of her, not touching, just near enough that she could see the sincerity without having to reach for it. "You're not a burden," he said quietly. "You're a mirror. People see what they're afraid of losing." Her breath shook. "That sounds like something you tell yourself to sleep at night." "It is," he admitted, "because it's true." For a moment he looked like he might say more. His mouth opened, closed. His hand flexed at his side. "I should have," then stopped, swallowed. "I should have come back sooner." Her eyes searched his face. "Why didn't you?" Before he could answer, his phone vibrated sharply in his pocket. The sound cut through the moment like glass. He glanced at the screen. His expression shifted, guarded now,
controlled. "I need to take this," he said. She nodded, already pulling back, walls rising on instinct. He stepped a few paces away, voice low but not careful enough. "This is not negotiable," his mother said, her words carrying in the narrow corridor. "You're endangering everything." "I'm standing my ground," Elliot replied. "You're inviting chaos," his father cut in. "That girl has a history." Naomi's chest tightened. "She is not bad luck," Elliot said, sharp now, "and I won't hear that again." "Then choose, her or this family." Silence followed. Naomi didn't wait to hear the answer. She stood quietly, heart pounding, and slipped past him, footsteps swallowed by the storm as she pushed through the emergency exit into the rain. Elliot turned just in time to see the door close behind him. The corridor felt suddenly too small. Too late. What hurts more, being blamed or being chosen too late?
Naomi didn't come in the next day. No call, no explanation. The absence felt deliberate, shaped like a decision rather than a mistake. Elliot noticed it immediately, the way people do when they're waiting for something they pretend not to need. By noon, he knew she wasn't going to appear. He told himself it was practical, a storm, a schedule change. He told himself a dozen versions that required no action from him. None of them stayed. Across town, Naomi folded herself back into routine. She woke early, made coffee she didn't finish, put the locket on and tucked it under her shirt like armor. She took a different bus to a different hotel, filled out paperwork without asking questions, and accepted a temporary shift with eyes down and voice steady. Dignity, she'd learned, wasn't loud. It was leaving before someone decided for you. She scrubbed bathrooms that smelled like bleach and lemon. She nodded at supervisors who didn't look twice. She kept her head clear of memories that wanted to speak. Still, the echo followed her or this family. By late afternoon, Elliot's parents were no longer subtle. His father called first, voice clipped, efficient. "You need to return home." "I'm working," Elliot replied. "You're avoiding. I'm choosing my timing." His mother followed an hour later, softer, more dangerous. "This has gone far enough." "It hasn't gone anywhere," Elliot said. She stepped back. "Exactly," she said. "Take the gift." He closed his eyes. "You think this is generosity. I think it's protection." "For who?" "For you," she said. "For us." He didn't answer. Silence, again. He was good at it. He'd been trained to use it like a tool. Wait it out, let emotion cool, let power do the rest. Only this time, it tasted wrong. He drove past the hotel twice that evening. Didn't go in, didn't text, didn't call. He told himself space was respect. Naomi told herself distance was survival. That night, she dreamed of the old apartment, brick walls, narrow hallways, her grandmother's voice humming from the kitchen. She woke with her heart racing and the sense that someone had just left the room. The next morning, Elliot found her. Not at the hotel, at the bus stop 2 blocks from her new job. Sunlight was sharp and unforgiving. She stood with her bag at her feet, posture straight, eyes forward. He stopped a few paces away. Didn't touch her, didn't say her name. "You shouldn't be here," she said without turning. "I know." "You didn't answer them," she continued. "I heard enough." "I didn't choose," Elliot said. She finally looked at him then. Her expression wasn't angry. That was worse. Not choosing is still a choice. It always has been. He swallowed. "I needed time." "So did everyone else," she replied. "They all needed time to figure out how to leave. That's not what this is." She gave a small, tired smile. "You don't get to tell me what this feels like." The bus arrived in a rush of air and noise. She reached for her bag. "Naomi," Elliot said, urgency slipping through for the first time. "I'm trying to do this right." She paused, just long enough for him to hope. There is no right when you keep people in the dark. There's just quiet damage. The doors hissed open. She stepped on without looking back. Elliot stood there after it pulled away, the space she'd occupied already filling with strangers.
Something settled heavy in his chest. Not loss, not yet. Recognition. Silence wasn't neutral. It favored the powerful. It punished the vulnerable. That evening, he went home and opened the file he'd avoided. Police reports, old articles, inconsistencies he'd noticed years ago and dismissed as a coincidence. He read until the sun dipped and the room cooled, until the story he'd been told finally cracked. By the time his phone rang again, he already knew what he was going to say. "I won't step back, and I won't be quiet." His mother's voice hardened. "Then you're choosing her." "Yes, and I'm choosing the truth." The line went dead. Across the city, Naomi sat on her bed, Locket warm against her skin, staring at the wall. She felt the old ache settle in, the familiar shape of being left behind. But somewhere beneath it, something else stirred. Not hope, resolve. The silence had done its damage. Now, it was done.
Elliot didn't sleep. He sat at the desk with the window open, desert air moving in slow, dry breaths, the city quieting outside as it knew better than to interrupt. Papers lay spread in careful order, not chaos, not obsession, a pattern. Police reports from years ago, a death labeled natural causes with a timeline that didn't settle. Witness statements trimmed down to sentences that answered nothing. A name redacted in one file, fully printed in another. A signature that appeared twice where it shouldn't have. He read the same page again, slower. The night Naomi's mother died, there had been a call logged from the building across the street. Not an emergency, a disturbance. The responding officer wrote no further action required, but the timestamp didn't match the medical examiner's estimate. Someone had been there, someone had left, and someone had wanted the story small. Elliot leaned back, eyes closed, the old memory sharpening. Naomi on the stoop the next morning, quiet, watching the street as if it might answer her if she stared long enough. Her father's hand on her shoulder, firm and gentle, guiding her inside. The locket. He reached for his phone and pulled up the photo he'd taken, careful, discreet, the last time Naomi had let it slip into view. He zoomed in, heart thudding. On the back of the frame, barely visible through the worn gold, was a tiny etching, not a name, initials, and a date. The date was wrong for a keepsake. It was right for a warning. Elliot's breath caught. Naomi's father hadn't disappeared because he was guilty. He had vanished because he understood leverage, because he knew that if his daughter spoke, even once, even by accident, someone would connect her to what she'd seen, to whom she'd seen, and children were never supposed to carry that weight. By dawn, Elliot had enough. Enough to stop pretending the past was finished. Enough to know the lie had never been about Naomi. It had been about convenience, about keeping powerful people comfortable. He drove straight to his parents' house. They were already awake. His mother sat at the table, hands folded, posture composed. His father stood by the window, back turned. The city lay out beneath him like proof of good decisions. "You're early," his father said. "I'm late." His mother looked up. "You look tired." "I am." "Then let's not do this now." Elliot placed the locket on the table. The sound it made was small, final. His mother's face changed first. Not shock, recognition. "You kept it," she said quietly. Elliot's jaw tightened. "You knew." "We suspected enough." "You knew she was there that night. You knew her father left to protect her." Silence stretched thin. "Her father was involved with dangerous people," his mother said carefully. "Leaving was the safest option." "For whom?" Elliot asked. "For everyone, including you." Elliot shook his head. "No, for yourselves." His mother's voice hardened. "We did what we had to do. You did what was easiest. You let a child grow up believing she was cursed so you wouldn't have to confront what really happened." "She didn't understand," his father snapped. "She was a child." "Exactly, and you punished her for it." His mother stood.
If this comes out, it won't just hurt us, it will put her back in danger. It already has, because silence didn't erase anything, it just delayed the cost. His father turned fully now, anger flickering. You would tear this family apart for her? Elliot didn't hesitate. You already did. I'm just naming it. The room felt smaller then, like the walls were listening. I won't hide this anymore, and I won't let you turn her into a warning story so you can sleep at night. His mother's voice dropped. If you push this, you lose everything. Elliot smiled faintly. No, I lose the illusion that everything was worth keeping. He took the locket, closed his fingers around it, and left. Naomi was at work when he found her. Different hotel, same careful movements. She noticed him immediately this time, didn't smile. You shouldn't be here, she said. I know, but I can't be quiet anymore. He held out the locket, not offering it back, just letting her see the certainty in his grip. I know why your father left, and I know why they were afraid of you. Her breath caught. You don't know anything about my father. I know he chose you, over himself, over the truth, over being remembered. She stared at him, the floor steadying her. I know what you saw, he added gently, and why he made sure no one ever asked you to say it out loud. Her knees weakened. She sat without meaning to. The world shifted, not violently, precisely. You're saying I wasn't, she began. Never, Elliot said. You were protected. Tears slipped free, silent and furious. Relief and grief braided tight. And your parents? Asked she. They were wrong, he said, and they know it now. She looked up at him, searching. What does this cost you? Elliot didn't look away. Everything I thought I owed them. She closed her eyes, breathing through the truth as it finally found shape. Outside, the city moved on, unaware. Inside, something long buried had begun to surface. Some truths don't ask to be revealed, they demand it.
They sat across from each other in the small apartment Naomi had taken after leaving the hotel job. Second-hand couch, bare walls, a window that looked out over a parking lot and a strip of sky. Late afternoon light slanted in, warm and forgiving, like it didn't know what it was being asked to witness. Elliot didn't sit at first. He stood near the window, hands braced on the sill, shoulders tight. Naomi watched him the way she'd learned to watch storms, waiting for the moment when holding back did more damage than letting go. Say it, she said quietly. He turned. There was a man in the building that night, Elliot began. His voice was steady, but only because he was holding it there. Not a stranger, someone your father recognized immediately. Naomi's chest tightened. She didn't interrupt. He was connected to people who didn't leave witnesses. Your mother tried to intervene. It escalated faster than anyone expected. Her breath hitched. She pressed her palm flat against her thigh, grounding herself. You saw him, Elliot said gently. Not clearly, but enough. Enough that your father knew if you ever spoke, if you ever let it slip, you wouldn't be safe. The room felt smaller, closer. So he left, Naomi whispered. Yes. Her voice cracked. He left me. Elliot shook his head. He left everything else. His name, his life, any chance of being known again. He made himself the villain so you wouldn't have to carry the truth. Naomi laughed once, sharp and broken. Everyone thought I was the reason. I know. She stood suddenly, pacing the narrow space, hands in her hair. I spent my whole life thinking people disappeared because of me, that loving me was dangerous. Elliot stepped closer. It was dangerous, just not for the reason they told you. She turned on him, anger finally breaking through the grief. Do you know what it does to a kid to grow up thinking they're bad luck? I do, he said quietly, because I watched them decide that about you, and I believed you anyway. Her face crumpled then, not pretty, not contained. Years of restraint gave way all at once. She slid down the wall, knees folding, sobs shaking her frame.
Elliot knelt in front of her, not touching yet, giving her the choice even now. "My dad loved me," she said through tears. "He loved me enough to disappear." "Yes. And your parents?" She swallowed hard. "They let that story live?" "They did. Out of fear, not cruelty. They convinced themselves it was protection." She wiped her face roughly. "Protection for who?" "For the life they built," answered Elliot. "For me." She looked up at him then, eyes red, clear. "And what about now?" Elliot didn't hesitate. He reached out, took her hands fully this time. She didn't pull away. "Now," he said, "I choose you, in every way that matters." Her fingers tightened around his. "That's easy to say here. It's not just here." That evening, Elliot stood in his parents' living room again. This time, Naomi was beside him. No raised voices, no accusations, just truth laid out cleanly. His mother cried quietly, not out of guilt, but recognition. "We were wrong," she said finally, looking at Naomi directly for the first time without fear clouding her eyes. "We were so afraid of losing him that we convinced ourselves you were the danger." Naomi nodded once. "I understand fear. I've lived with it." His father said nothing at first, then, stiffly, "You should have been protected." Naomi met his gaze. "I was, just not by the people you expected." Elliot took her hand again, unmistakably, publicly, without apology. "This doesn't end quietly," his father warned. "There will be consequences." Elliot nodded. "I know. And you're willing to accept them?" "Yes." Later, as they walked out together, the first drops of rain began to fall, light, reluctant, the kind that cooled the air instead of punishing it. By the time they reached the car, the rain had already started to ease. Naomi leaned back against the seat, exhausted. Elliot reached over, brushing his thumb across her knuckles. He noticed how tightly she'd been holding herself together, and how slowly now she was letting go. "My hands hurt," she said suddenly. He frowned. "From earlier?" She shook her head. "From holding on." He laced his fingers through hers, firm and warm. "You don't have to anymore." Outside, the clouds thinned. Light broke through in pale bands, touching the pavement like permission. For the first time, the past loosened its grip. And love, quiet, chosen, unafraid, stood fully in its place.
Time didn't rush them. It moved the way it always had, forward, quiet, uninterested in whether they were ready. Naomi's days took on a steadier shape. She found work at a small community center on the edge of the city, cleaning in the mornings, helping organize donated supplies in the afternoons. It wasn't glamorous, it was consistent. The kind of place where people learned your name because they needed you, not because you were attached to someone else. She stopped flinching when her phone rang. The locket no longer stayed tucked beneath her shirt. She wore it openly now, resting against her collarbone as it had finally earned the right to breathe. Some mornings, she caught herself touching it without realizing, then smiling at the habit instead of correcting it. Elliot adjusted in quieter ways. He declined invitations he would have accepted without thinking before, let meetings end early, took the long way home. He sold the penthouse he barely slept in and moved into a modest place closer to where Naomi lived, where the streetlights hummed and neighbors waved without curiosity. People noticed. Some asked questions. Some didn't like the answers. He didn't explain himself. He didn't need to. They didn't move in together right away. They didn't pretend healing had a deadline. They learned each other again, this time without interruption. He learned she liked her coffee too hot and her silence uninterrupted. She learned he needed stillness after crowded days and laughed unexpectedly at dry humor no one else seemed to catch. Sometimes she teased him for how seriously he took grocery shopping. "You read labels like they're contracts," she said once, leaning against the cart. "They are, legally binding." She smiled. "You're exhausting." He glanced at her. "You like it." She did. The past didn't disappear. It softened. Some nights, Naomi woke from dreams she couldn't fully explain. Elliot never asked for details. He just stayed awake with her until her breathing steadied again.
Some mornings, Elliot stared too long at old photos he hadn't thrown away yet. Naomi didn't tell him to let go. She sat beside him and waited until he was ready. They didn't rescue each other. They accompanied. One evening, they walked the neighborhood just before sunset, the air warm and forgiving. Naomi slowed, studying the way the light caught on parked cars, the way shadows stretched. "Do you ever wish it had been different?" she asked. "Yes," Elliot said easily. Then after a beat, "Do you?" She thought about it, about childhood stoops and missing explanations and years that could never be rewritten. "No," she said finally. "Different would have made me someone else." He nodded. "I like who you are." She stopped walking and turned to him. "You don't say things like that casually." "I don't say them casually," he agreed. She reached for his hand, fingers sliding naturally between his. No hesitation, no checking to see who was watching. They stood there a moment longer than necessary, just because they could. Later that night, Naomi stood in front of the mirror, fastening the locket before bed. She paused, studying her reflection, not searching this time, just acknowledging. The woman looking back at her wasn't untouched. She was intact. Elliot watched from the doorway, quiet, present, saying nothing. He didn't need to. The world hadn't suddenly become kind, but it had become honest. And honesty, it turned out, was enough. Some love doesn't arrive loudly. It stays.
Hey you, my fellow story family. Thank you for staying with us till the very end. We'd love to hear how this story made you feel. Would you have done anything differently? What did it teach you? If this story mirrors a season of your own life, feel free to share it with us in the comments. Stay close to this channel for more stories that speak of strength, love, and hope.